It's the Score North Twin Show.
All right, Score North, Extra Innings. We are back. It's been like 2 weeks almost since the last time I sat in this chair and talked to you from Target Field. Twins opening a homestand against the Tigers over the holiday weekend. It's the Christmas of July, right? Like it's 4th of July. By the way, am I stealing a quick hitting question?
No, you're not, actually.
Okay.
You're not. You're good.
That just came to me. That just
No,
came. So I was
you're
like,
good.
oh, I might be stepping on the toes of Ross's quick hitter at the end of this episode.
You're good.
But yeah, a homestand against the Tigers and Astros over the holiday weekend. There will be just a couple, by the way, programming note, just a few episodes of Extra Innings this week due to the holiday weekend. I'm actually going to be in a suite as a fan on the 4th of July. Ross, what do you think about, before I get into, the things that I'm supposed to be talking about and doing on this podcast, what do you think about a bachelor party at a Twins game 48 hours before your own wedding? What are your just overall thoughts on that?
And first pitch on the 4th of July is
1:10.
1:10. Would you say this is a fairly debaucherous group?
Yes.
Yeah, this is an awful idea. This is thoughts and prayers to the groom and the bride, because I think the groom will be I think he'll be under the legal limit by the time he says I do. But will he feel great? I have my doubts.
Yeah, I do as well. I'm along for the ride, so this is I'm all good here. But it will be interesting. I'll follow up with everyone next week on how that goes. So Ross, a lot of stuff here on Extra Innings. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is the Score North Twin Show YouTube channel. Appreciate everyone that has helped grow this channel basically from scratch. That's Ross Brendel. I'm Declan Goff. I have boots on the ground here for most home games. So let's start here with the offense. I have a couple other updates from the clubhouse and also some injury updates on some arms. So Ross, the Twins wrapped up the month of June with one of the best offenses in baseball. Look at almost any major category, and you will see the Twins as the leaders in those categories. But it's been a collective group, and Rocco, when asked about this, said it's not necessarily a fluke, and even though, will you have these type of numbers as a team throughout the course of the season? Maybe not. But if you think about it, Ross, he brought up the point that everyone is available. Everyone is finally healthy. You're not waiting on one guy because he's injured. You're not waiting on the next guy because he gets hurt. You're not waiting on someone to come up and save you from AAA. So this team has kind of come together at the right time. And outside, and I don't mean to throw shade at him, outside of starts made by Christian Vasquez, when you look at this lineup 1 through 9, I mean, everyone can hit. Byron Buxton's having the best run of the season, and he's batting like 7th. So it just goes to show that when this team is finally healthy, they are finally reaching its potential, and it actually, I don't think, should be too much of a surprise when fans do see that they're actually hitting pretty well at the plate.
Yeah, well, a couple things off of that, Declan. When the team wasn't hitting at all the first, 4 to 6, maybe 4 to 8 weeks of the season, I think you and I both had talked about on this Extra Innings podcast, look, they may still strike out like this all season, but they're going to start to hit because their record says that they will. At least their track record says that they will. Declan, and they have started to do that. They're hitting better, but with that, the strikeouts, and I think it's no coincidence, the strikeouts have come way down. So that's been a huge positive. On your part about everybody being available, Declan, I was in Des Moines this last weekend with my old man watching Saints and, as they call them, the I-Cubs. It's not the Iowa Cubs. It's
why is that?
I don't know. I don't know. It's stupid. It's the Iowa Cubs.
That's very
but
stupid.
A couple people commented to me because they could see I was wearing Saints stuff and, obviously a Twins fan, that the Saints lineup 1 through 4, it's probably one of the better lineups you'll see in AAA. And they were wondering, well, why is Wallner here with all these home runs and RBIs? And they don't have a place for Brooks Lee. And again, I'm not saying the Twins aren't a team without a weakness, but to your point, Declan, if there was a place for specifically probably those two guys, they might be up with the big club. And I know Julian, I think, will figure it out. He's the one exception. He has continued to struggle at AAA, but I do think he will figure it out. But there is depth, and this is a good thing for a baseball team to, one, not only be healthy, but now to see that depth. Okay, everybody's hitting, everybody's playing well, and then you're able to have guys at AAA when needed that can step up and not just be guys filling a jersey. These are good baseball players. So I'm very encouraged by the month. I thought the starting pitching was pretty good. There were some outings that maybe weren't as good as you would like them to be, but that's going to happen over a 30-day stretch. So as we record today, Declan, again, you're looking at a team that's a couple games up on the last wild card spot. They've started to creep back into shouting distance in the American League Central. I think you have to feel really good, and a lot of it is because of what you led with, Declan. It's just nice that everybody's available and they're hitting the ball. And here's my thought on Christian Vasquez, Declan, since you brought him up, and I don't want to throw shade at him either. But here's what he does really well. He's really good at just dumping a ball into right field or going the opposite way. He should not be trying to do anything else at the plate at this point. Just hit the ball the other way, dump it to right field, take your first base and go from there, because he this has been his entire tenure, Declan. I don't think he's at all the offensive player the Twins thought they were getting. So my advice to Vasquez, which he shouldn't listen to and probably wouldn't listen to anyways, just hit the ball the other way, because that's what he does really well. Do that more often.
Or bunt. Just I'm just bunt.
Yep, move a runner over, put a guy, move a guy. I get it.
I'm totally good with that as well. When you look at this Twins offense, Ross, in the month of June, there were 8 players. This is not a typo. 8 players with OPSs of 839 or above. Carlos Correa had an insane month. Royce Lewis came down to earth hard over the last week, but he still had a 972 OPS last month. Father Time, Carlos Santana, hit 337 and was great last month. Jose Miranda, Byron Buxton, Willie Castro. Austin Martin, when he got playing time, even though he didn't start every day, he was hitting a lot. So all good things from the Twins offense, and we'll see if it carries over in July, I should say. Yes, they beat up on some softies. They're going to play a red-hot Houston Astros team this weekend, which will be a really good series. And on Tuesday night here, they got Tariq Skubal, who's probably the nastiest pitcher in the game that no one talks about, so they'll have their hands full on Tuesday night. But I agree with Rocco that when you look up and down this offense and everyone is finally healthy and clicking, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise. So good things with this offense.
Here's one for you, Declan. We brought this up, I think, about 6 weeks ago. I did the old far too early for who's the Twins all-star, and at the time we thought it was, it's Ryan Jeffers.
Yeah.
That seemed to be a sure thing at the time. And then we said, maybe Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan could work their way into it. I could buy a scenario where Joe Ryan gets there. Yep. There's no scenario that Pablo Lopez gets there. I know there's 10 worthy shortstops in Major League Baseball, but I think the Twins are only getting one representative. Is it possible that Carlos Correa, because of what he did in June, will be the representative for the Minnesota Twins? If I was putting percentages on it, Declan, I don't know what the percentage would be, but I think he'd still he'd be the highest percentage. I think Ryan Jeffers is still in there just because there's less catchers, but I don't think it's going to be Duran. I don't think it's going to be Jax. Maybe it's Joe Ryan. I mean, there's just, for as good as the month was, and the team is seemingly, again, a pretty good team, there's not a ton of clear choices for an all-star or two.
Well, with Correa, the problem is there are like 4 other American League shortstops that are really good. So, yes, by name recognition, I think that's actually helping him. And, yes, he had a hell of a month to plate in June. That also helps him. But when you look at Bobby Witt and Gunnar Anderson and Anthony Volpe, now all of a sudden, Carlos Correa is the 4th option there. I don't know if they'll even carry 4 shortstops. I think Joe Ryan is a potential. Griffin, it's hard for setup guys to get all-star nods, but I do think Griffin Jax definitely has a chance. It's a shame Royce Lewis didn't play enough games because I think he would have definitely had a chance. It will be interesting to see who is their all-star, and is it probably just one because of how loaded the American League is this year? Yeah, wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me at all.
But it's Joe Ryan or Correa, right? I mean, suppose Jeffers is still in that conversation. It's one of those 3, right?
Yeah, I would say at this point Joe Ryan, Correa, and probably Griffin Jax.
Yeah, you're all on Griffin Jax. I don't know. And this is not on the all-star thing. And I know you've said stuff before with the Griffin Jax people going. When he's on, he's filthy. I still would not trust Griffin Jax as far as I could throw him.
Interesting. I think he's probably easily, and it's not even close, the most reliable arm in their bullpen. Way more than Duran at this point. Duran's had a shaky season. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. Last year he made him walk the plank a little bit, but I think he has been arguably one of the more lights out relievers in baseball this year, so wouldn't be surprising if he did get the call.
I think that's just my general distrust for relievers, right? It's very volatile. You never know what you're getting. I'm not saying I don't like Griffin Jackson, that he shouldn't be on the team. That's furthest from what I meant by that. But yeah, he just, I don't know. He scares me.
So let me tell you about what happened today when I walked into the clubhouse. As I've mentioned this before, when you walk into the Twins clubhouse, Rocco's office is on your right. Mike Herman, the director of team travel, does a great job. He's across from Rocco. Then there's the clubhouse manager's office. And as you turn around and go down the tunnel, the Twins clubhouse is on the right, and then like the laundry room basically is on your left. I walk in the Twins clubhouse, and it is completely bright, like insanely bright, like ridiculously bright. And
new LEDs. Did we retrofit the clubhouse?
So I'm still trying to really understand what the hell happened. I was like, were these here before and they was never turned on, or were these added to the clubhouse? And what's going on here? So the Twins have added new lighting in the clubhouse. Now, I don't believe I can take photos of this because it's a clubhouse and I can't like show everyone. But when I say it's bright, it is very, very bright. Apparently, they are doing this to change up the habits for day games, to be alert in day games. Now, tonight's a night game. I understand that. And apparently during the closure of night games, when you're in their post game, they'll be back to the dim, low-lit type of lights. But I guess these lights are supposed to like wake you up in a way or make you more alert. And I will say, when I walked in there, I was like, what the hell is this? Am I under the knife here? What's going on? So another addition to the Twins clubhouse to maybe wake some butts up, not get anyone sleepy before the game time. You know, I know Nelson Cruz had a big nap thing. I can tell you right now, no one in hell could nap in that clubhouse right now. It's impossible. Not that anyone would want to, but I'm just saying the clubhouse now is completely different. I don't know if it's like circadian rhythm stuff. I stay away from that type of that type of intel, but it is bright. The clubhouse has a new addition, and it's lights.
Okay, so here's my thought on this. Is this something the Minnesota Twins are doing to catch up to everybody else? Or is this something we're doing to try and differentiate, gain a competitive advantage, and now Declan Goff just outed them on Score North Extra Innings?
I mean, everyone saw it. Everyone in the beat saw it, so they like definitely are aware. I don't think I'm breaking any rules about like I said, I don't think I can tweet out a photo of this, but everyone walked in there today being like, what is this?
Will you be entering the clubhouse during the day now wearing sunglasses? Is it that bad?
I wouldn't say it's that bad, but like you are definitely like wide-eyed. Like you are 100% like, wow, like you're just much more alert. So another addition. We've had, the Wheel of Fortune from Pablo Lopez.
Is that still there?
Yeah, it's still
still
there.
Doing that? Okay.
That's still there. That is still there. And now new lighting. Again, they're baseball people. They're creatures of habit. And sometimes you need, to, for the lack of a better words, shake the baby to get this team to wake up or get someone to wake up. And I think the way they are doing that for this instance is changing the lighting.
Can I pose a question to you that's not a quick hitter?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's July 2nd, this edition of Extra Innings. The trade deadline literally, a month away? Maybe a day less than a month away?
Yep.
Where do you think this team is at? Do you think this is a team that is a big buyer to some degree, maybe just looking to supplement with a player here and there, or is this a team that's just going to keep the roster as is and stand pat with what they have? About a month out from the trade deadline, you're going to start seeing them now. We saw some early season trades, more than you typically see. But once you get to the All-Star break, you're typically going to see a trade or two, and it picks up from there. Where do you think this ball club's at? I think they're going to make a roster move or two from outside of the organization. I don't expect either player or players that are acquired for me to go, whoa, that's a big move. But I do expect them to make some tweaks and changes.
Well, there isn't really like a super big pitching arm that's on the trade market this year. Like Jack Flaherty's a name that we even threw out today with Trevor Plouffe. There's some like mid-rotation guys, and they could definitely help the Twins, but there's no one I think that is like, when we've seen guys like Justin Verlander get moved at the deadline, there's no one like that I think is going to become available unless someone really surprises us. Now, do I think the Twins will be buyers? Yeah, I think they'll look for some type of rotational depth piece. I don't think they're looking for an ace that slots everyone else down in the rotation. I can see them adding, a bullpen arm, but also I think there's going to be more internal options there than external options to make that room deeper. I think there's probably one decent trade here, and it probably doesn't involve Brooks Lee or Walker Jenkins. I'd be shocked if either of those guys are moved at the deadline. I think it's probably, prospects 5 through 10. And then also I'll throw in, if a team does want Matt Wallner, Edward Julian, or Alex Kirilloff, these kind of tweener guys that are basically in no man's land. They're not contributing at the big league level, but another team might be able to find a place for them and give them an opportunity. I think there's a trade. Do I think they're going to be winning like MLB.com's or ESPN's biggest buyer of the deadline award? No, I would be pretty shocked at this point if they did that.
And nor do they have to, by the way, to help make your team better. I agree with you on depth rotation. Probably it'll be a name that you know, but not a name that's going to blow you away. I also think easier said than done, Declan. There's not a lot of trust maybe outside of Okert with the lefties in the bullpen. I mean, I think You're getting to the point where this just might be it for Caleb Thielbar. Funderburk has good outings. He has bad outings. I really think they'd like to get themselves one more lefty, but newsflash, so is pretty much everybody else that's going to be a buyer. But I think those are the two moves that they should be looking at. And I'm never opposed to adding more offense, but the price has to be right.
Yeah, I mean, they've always been linked to Matt Moore. I think that would be now he's not having a great year, but again, another lefty out of the pen that's a veteran, that's a pretty decent arm. I could see that happening. I will say internally, a couple injury updates here that we got today. Justin Topa, Brock Stewart making progress in their return to the Twins. So Stewart is going to throw 2 batting practices this week. Topa is going to throw a couple bullpens this week. If all goes well with both of those respective appearances, you're probably looking at rehab assignments starting soon for those guys. Now, timetables to return to major leagues, and again, best case scenario, I think we're probably a couple weeks out or so from either of those guys joining the bullpen. But to your point, there's been some shaky options there with Funderburk, and Thielbar's obviously hit a cliff here. Getting Brock Stewart and Justin Topa, who has yet to even throw a pitch with the Twins, getting those guys back does make the bullpen building a little easier. And then I still do wonder if Louis Varland and even Chris Paddock are part of those internal bullpen additions like they had last year by the time September and the playoffs rolled around. So as much as they could go get a reliever, I think it'd be a low man on the totem pole, probably a lefty to what you're saying, and then they will use internal options to supplement that bullpen.
Amen on Paddock and Varland. I said that since last year. And it's just me, one idiot in front of a microphone. But I think both those guys can be far more effective as relievers than they can be as starting pitchers. But then again, you also need to have enough starting pitching depth to cover those spots. But we'll see where that goes. I just think if you tell Chris Paddock and Louis Varland for 1 inning you can go in there and just throw gas, I think that makes them immediately more effective on your roster. Do you want a quick hitter, or do you have something else to get to?
Yeah, let's go with quick hitter. I got a couple other things I'm going to save, I think, for tomorrow's extra innings episode that I'm going to dig a little deeper on.
All right, this one I think is super simple as far as the question. Your answer can be whatever it is. I want to know, I have 2. I'm really having a tough time figuring this out, but your least favorite Detroit Tiger or Tigers of all time. Maybe you can have 2, because some of these guys that come to mind for me are really damn good baseball players, but they drove me crazy. So I'll let you go first and see if you say anything that comes to my mind.
All right, I got 2 that I just absolutely loathed as a kid. Brandon Inge.
Okay, yep.
Couldn't stand him. The damn forearm tattoos bugged the crap out of me as a 14-year-old. No idea why. Now, couldn't tell you if they bugged me. Brandon Inge, never liked him. And I'll throw you another one, a deep cut at you. Jeremy Bonderman.
Jeremy, wow, okay.
Jeremy Bonderman. Those were two arms, and especially when they hit around. I think what I also hated. I'm gonna keep using the word loathe, but hated is when the Tigers players back in when they were really bad, losing 100+ games. They always wore those damn turtlenecks, and that just bugged me. That just like, what are we doing wearing a turtleneck? It's not that cold outside, and just that look, it made me think of like a pompous baseball player, and I was like, take off the damn turtleneck. We don't need to see a turtleneck. So those two are two guys that I don't love. I don't know what you have for the guys you dislike. I do have a couple other Tigers that I do like, though.
Okay.
I loved.
Why don't you give me those?
I loved Craig Monroe, also a former Twin.
Yes.
Big time Craig Monroe fan. I liked Austin Jackson, who was low key a very solid center field for them for a while. I actually really liked Curtis Granderson.
The Grandy Man.
The Grandy Man was good.
Fun fact, I saw his first major league home run. It landed about 8 rows in front of me in right field. Yep.
And then I love me some Justin Verlander, so I can't ever get upset with Verlander.
Okay, so then you didn't say any names that come to my mind as people that I necessarily loathe. Brandon Inge is a good one. The Twins also had a tough time getting him out. That drove me crazy.
Can't see
guys that I disliked. One, because they just never got him out. Two, because I think he did a lot to clean up his life, but at one point was maybe not a great human being. Mine would be Magglio Ordonez and Miguel Cabrera.
Those are good names, though.
Miguel Cabrera, though, I'm not joking. He reached like A-Rod territory at one point where I just wouldn't pitch to him. Why would you ever pitch to him? You put it anywhere near the strike zone, he's going to hit home run.
Yep.
And I would get so frustrated by that, especially when they would more Cabrera than Magglio Ordonez when they would pitch to him in a game where it was close. I'm like, no, just put him on first base. He can't move. Don't even throw to him.
And Magglio had that hair, that wet,
that greasy, gross, nasty hair,
and with the White Sox and the Tigers,
looked like a WWE wrestler.
He did. He looked like Scott Hall. Like he had the Scott Hall without the coolness. I will say Scott Hall. I mean, the epitome of cool. But yeah, those are good ones, especially Magglio. I was not a big Magglio Ordonez fan.
I mean, they both just crushed. I mean, if you threw them anything hittable, they would make you pay.
Yeah, I mean, even like, I don't mean to spoil a future one, but like Bobby Jenks is on my Mount Rushmore of players that I despise the most. Bobby Jenks.
See, I try to make them, more fun and wide-ranging, but the Twins play the Tigers so often that it was kind of low-hanging fruit for.
No, that's okay.
Which Tigers drive you crazy? Which, off the top of your head, which starter that year where they won like 42 games, which one lost over 20 games? Was that Mike Maroth? Remember they had Bonderman, Maroth, and there was another one, and they all turned out to be pretty good pitchers. But one of those poor guys lost over 20 games.
I'm looking this up right now. Mike Maroth, good call, Ross. Bonderman lost 19 of them. Maroth lost 21. Nate, is it Cogneo? I think I'm butchering the name of this.
That one doesn't ring much of a bell.
He lost 17 games. Corneo. Nate Corneo. That's how you pronounce it. Thank God for Baseball Reference. He lost 17 games. Yeah, those were some rough Tigers teams. The best, I will say, Dimitri Young had a very good year for them that year, and he always was good. And Carlos Pena wasn't terrible for them, but yeah, they had 5 hitters who were regularly below 680 OPS territory. Now, different game back then. There was some guys hitting for average, but yeah, they were sending up more than a half of a lineup that was well below league average. League average. And
their intention that year was obviously we're going to let a lot of young guys play, and we know we're not going to be very good. I don't think the intention was to be that bad. Nobody is purposely going to put a team out that is that bad. But a lot of those guys that you just listed there, Declan, turned out to be pretty good players. Bonderman had a run. Mike Maroth had a run. But now I can't get Bobby Jenks out of my head, and that's a different team.
Oh, God, can't stand him. All right, well, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. This is Score North Extra Innings. Appreciate everyone listening and watching throughout this season. That's Ross Brendel. I'm Declan Goff. Continue to hit the subscribe button to support us here on the Score North Twin Show. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back tomorrow for another Extra Innings piece of content as well. Talk to you then.